Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today is November 28th, 2021 and this is my 23rd FlossTube. It's been 3 weeks since I filmed last. It's been a crazy 3 weeks. Just trying to get all of our advent calendars out for work. We did 3 different advent calendars and they are officially all shipped. And it's such a relief. So in the last 3 weeks, I have maybe gotten 1 week's worth of stitching done, and it has pretty much all been in the last week. Not even the last week, the last 4 or 5 days, because it's just been impossible. I've been coming home and crashing and working every weekend, and it's just been crazy. But I am so thankful that everyone seems to have received their advent calendars. We've only had a few that we skipped a number, so we're going to ship those out tomorrow, and finally can look forward to the next project. So if you purchased one, I just want to say I really hope you love it because I'm super excited. The cross stitch advent calendar was themed Yule Ball, and it was designed by Michelle Garrett of Bendy Stitchy, and the pattern is just amazing. So I'm really excited for everybody to start opening those and to see what everybody's up to for Flossmas. I really debated on whether or not I wanted to do a Flossmas, but ultimately I decided that I kind of just want to sit back and watch everybody else open their advent calendars. I don't have one for me, so if I were to open anything, it would literally just be me opening ones left over that we had shipped, and I don't really want to do that. I want to watch you guys open them. So anyway, I do have some very loose planning for Merry stitching for December, and we'll get into a little bit of that later. But for now, let's just get into the stitching and I'll show you what I've been up to. I'm very excited because I do have a finish to show you. It's been a long time since I've had a finish to show, but I do. I finished this ornament from Dimensions Gold. It's the 4th ornament out of 6, and I will show where I was at last week, but basically I finished this tree, I finished this down here, and I had some random stitches all over the place to do, and then I did all of the back stitching and all of the French knots. And it is just so cool. You can tell from the before picture just the difference that the back stitching makes. So yeah, I think my favorite part are these windows, the stained, how it looks, not stained glass necessarily, but just the lines. I really like them. And then the street lamp, I've loved that ever since I saw this picture, and to see it come to life as I was backstitching was just really cool. I kind of cheat when I backstitch on these because they have such long lines that I just do a long stitch and then I kind of tack it down in the middle, as opposed to doing lots of little back stitches, because there's so much detail and so much backstitching, so much backstitching. That's the correct English, yes, because there's so much backstitching. It would take me forever if I did one by one, and I always feel like I'm a messy backstitcher when I do that. So, and the other thing I'm excited about this piece is that my French knots from the 1st ornament to the 4th ornament have gotten so much better. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And my mom is, she's my sewing guru, and she is coming for a visit in about a week and a half. And so I was originally hoping I'd have all 6 ornaments done by Christmas to hang on the tree, and I just don't think that's gonna happen. I know that's not gonna happen. But I was hoping to finish them all at the same time, but I think I'm actually gonna have her help me finish the 4 that I've done. And then I'll worry about the other 2. Maybe I'll get another one done, I don't know, but I'll worry about the others as the time comes. I can sew, but she's way better at it than me. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I was really excited about that. I finished that up on Saturday morning, I think. I stitched on it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday when I finally had time to sit down and stitch. I worked on my mirabilia for a few days, and then I worked on that until it was finished. Okay, so works in progress, whips. The first one, as always, that I have to show you is Marvel Heroes. And I bought this on Popular Cross Stitch on Etsy, but that shop is no longer open. I did receive an instant message on Instagram. Another shop on Etsy is carrying it now, but it's way bigger than mine. It's like 600 by 999 or something like that. So it's about 4 times the size of mine. I can't remember exactly the size of mine, but it's nowhere near that big. Anyway, so I stitched on this. Normally I stitch on it on Saturdays for Superhero Saturday Sal, and I'll put the hashtag up there. But since I didn't stitch on it for basically 3 weeks, I stitched on it when I finished the ornament on Friday. Did I say I finished the ornament on Friday? I feel like I said Saturday. I don't remember, but I finished the ornament on Friday and I immediately started stitching on Marvel Heroes, and I stitched on it Friday night and Saturday all day. I actually stayed home all day because it was kind of my last day of freedom before for taking the week of Thanksgiving off and going back to work next week. And so I didn't go anywhere yesterday. That's a lie. I went to Walmart. I took the kids to Walmart. My husband and I did, and we did some grocery shopping, and but I made pumpkin bread with my son, and I made dinner, which I haven't done in months, like made a real dinner where I made soup from scratch and stuff like that. And I stitched, and that's all I did yesterday. So I got about 1,600 stitches done. And that's where I am now. Oh, I'm destroying it. It's falling apart. I'm a little bit closer than I normally am, and I think it's throwing off how I show things. But I basically started, so the page top is right here. That's a really shaky line, but you get the point. That's the page top. And I finished the first 20 rows all the way down. And then I just picked a stitch and took that string and kind of worked just one string all the way down. There were a couple colors. I worked 2 strings, like $37.99. I worked all the way down because there was a lot of it in Things Face, and I was really determined to finish Things Face by the time I put it down. I'm gonna lean on my table. I'm sorry if I shook the camera, but this is really heavy. Anyway, so that's mostly what I did. I got a little bit done in her hair right here. I got a little bit more details done on Spider-Man, and I got some of Black Panther's head done in there. But mostly I worked on Thing, and I got a lot done, and I'm super excited. He basically ends at the top of her head and the top of Spider-Man's head, so I'm really close to finishing him. But I mean, I probably still have a few hundred stitches left, but I think I can finish him next week. And that's really exciting. The reason why it's so heavy is because I keep this clamp on so that it's the only scroll frame I use. So, and I have a quarter clamp for my Lowry stand that my husband bought me for my birthday. I think he bought it for me for my birthday. And so I use a quarter clamp on everything else, and I just keep that clamp on there, but it makes it really heavy when I'm trying to show y'all. So yeah, that's that one. And then the next piece that I worked on, or I technically worked on this before, but the next I'm going to show you is Royal Holiday by Mirabilia. And I try to work on this on Mondays for Mirabilia Mondays. But this week, because I had so much catch up to do from not stitching for so long, I worked on it 2 or 3 days. I can't remember what. And I never actually took it out of the Q-snap because I had been hoping that I'd get back to it. But then when I saw how close I was to finishing the ornament, I never went back to it. So here it is on the Q-snap, but you should be able to see everything. And I'm almost done with the dress. I was trying so hard to finish this part of the dress. There's another little sash that comes down here that's a little bit darker. And aside from that, I was trying really hard to finish this main portion of the dress so I could start in on her red cape that she's wearing. But when I put it down, that's kind of what I was hoping to do, was to pick it back up and finish that, but it just never happened. But this week I should be able to finish it. So yeah, I had a lot of fun stitching on that. Again, it's been a while because I had been working more on Trick or Treat Fairy, And so I hadn't been stitching on that as much, like every Monday, like I had been before I started Trick or Treat Fairy. So that was a lot of fun to get back to. Yeah, the next piece I have to show you is, oh, what am I stitching on? I should tell you that. Marvel Heroes is on 16 count, easy grid, easy guide, easy count. I don't really know what it's called. It's the one with the gray stripes in it. 16 count though. And then Royal Holiday is on a hand-dyed piece of 32 count Belfast linen. I dyed it myself in my studio. I don't have it in the shop yet. I plan to just as soon as I can get to it. Maybe before Christmas, because it's a really pretty color for Christmas things. Obviously, that's what I used it for. That's what I dyed it for. So obviously, I'm going to think that. But anyway, yeah. So the next piece I have to show you is Once Upon a Fairy Tale Max Colors. The artwork is by Amy Stewart, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I am way up in the corner. I've barely finished anything, but I did get a good amount of work on it done. I think I worked on it for 3 days. And I actually worked on this like 3 weeks ago before I had to take the break to work. So I got to spend a lot of time on it. And I focused a lot on trying to add in some of these details. So I know I added in some detail in the trees, and some of these stone bricks got some more details. And I definitely worked on the books some. And I extended this out here a little bit. Other than that, I don't really know what I did. I just know that I was, you know, filling in colors. I kind of went back and forth on this one from just picking a stitch at the top and kind of following it around to taking a big block of stitches and doing that. And generally what I tended to do, like when I picked this color or when I picked the orange in here, is when I'm alert and awake, I will do my detail stitching where I pick a stitch and kind of follow it around the page. And then that was my alarm going off telling me to get my B12 shot. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, I think what I was saying was at the end of the night when I start getting tired and I really want to see like that stitch count jump, because, you know, doing confetti and stuff like that is slow. So I then will just pick a color that has a lot of stitches, block stitching or whatever, that I can get done pretty quickly, and I will do some of that. So that was how I worked on that, and I'm really excited. I'm finally starting to see more details emerge. I'm kind of obsessed with getting this street lamp done because I really feel like that will show, will just make the picture feel like it's coming alive. And unfortunately, I don't have a couple of colors in there, so I wasn't able to do as much, but I did a little bit. So that's that. And then after I did that, I still was in the mood to do full coverage, but I really wanted to do some block stitching. And so this was completely not in the plan. And I pulled out Sea Glass by Carol Manning Designs. And I started on this last May 2020. It could have been June. And I was doing this, the hashtag Manning Sal or something like that. I'll have to look it up and I'll put it up here. But a lot of people started a Carolyn Manning design that month or around the same time. And I saw this one, and I held off until I found this one, and then I found it and I was like, well, I have to stitch that because it totally matches my house. And I think I'm going to make it into a pillow or something when it's done. But here's where I'm at. I only got about 300 stitches done before work got crazy. So, and I kind of left it on a Q-snap for a few days in my stand, hoping that I'd get back to it. And I came home at the end of every day and I was just dead. So I really didn't get much more done than that. But basically what I do is I just kind of work my way along the top, or I was actually working my way down this page, and then I think I ended up putting it on a bigger Q-snap. I went for an 11 by 11 instead of an 8 by 11, and so I started working back up here as much as would fit in the Q-snap, and then I just picked whatever color was next, and I kind of just kept stitching on it until I ran out of thread. As opposed to doing one length of thread, I would do an entire like 6 lengths of thread. I don't think I did an entire 6 lengths of thread of any color this time. I think I kind of ran out of the first one, so I started a second one. So yeah, that is all the stitching that I got to. As opposed to stitching on a lot of different items, I chose to stitch many days on a few items because I really just wanted to see some progress. You know, it's the end of the year, and this year really didn't go as I had planned because I did so much model stitching. I've been watching lots of FlossTubes where people are talking about plans next year, and I just haven't made any. I've bought, I mean, I haven't even shown you a fraction of the patterns that I've bought because I've just done so much stress shopping this year, but I've bought a lot of patterns. I want to start a few things. I don't feel like I want to start a ton. I don't want to go crazy. But I feel the need to start some small projects that are more finishable. So I have more of a feeling of accomplishment, because a page finish is great, but it's not the same as actually finishing something. So, I definitely have some seasonal things that I want to work on. I don't really know. I don't want to say I'm not going to start a bunch and then get a wild hair and start a bunch, because I can't predict the future. So, I definitely want to get a lot of progress done on my full coverage and see some progress there. And what else? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, for this week though, and for December, I really want to do some stitching on some Christmas projects. I don't want to go all in like I did with Halloween, where I only stitched on basically Marvel, Mirabilia, and Halloween all month, because I kind of missed my full coverage stuff. And I felt like I kind of, while I got a lot of progress on my Halloween things that hadn't necessarily gotten a lot of attention all year, I really feel like it hindered me on some of my other goals, especially because I was already so far behind. So I think what I'm going to do for December is I'm going to pick one Christmas project. And I know these probably aren't going to make that much sense to you, because I really haven't stitched on any of my Christmas projects aside from those ornaments all year long. But I have one, it was a free pattern from Arafloss called Joyo Noel, and it's based, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong because it's in French. It's based on the 12 days of Christmas, and I'm actually going to show you that as part of next week's plans. But I have that one. I have my Dimensions Gold ornaments, of which I have 2 left, and I'll show you one of those because it's part of my plans next week. I also have Santa's Workshop, which is a full coverage piece from Heaven and Earth Designs, and I think that might be it. I have plans to start Miss Christmas Eve, which is a Mirabilia, with Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E, on Christmas Eve. I think we're starting it on Christmas Eve. I have to dye fabric for us for that. And then, oh, I have Royal Holiday, but I stitch on that every week, so that doesn't replace anything. But I kind of want to stitch on one of those each week. I want to work on my ornament all month long. I really haven't figured out the details because it's just, everything's been so jumbled, and I'm kind of afraid to make plans in case something blows up in my face again. Anyway, that's enough rambling. I'm probably going to cut all that out because it doesn't make any sense. Let's get to plans for next week. The first thing I want to work on is the next ornament in the series. And this is Kikis Toys. And again, this is a kit from Dimensions Gold that I purchased. This was actually the first, I can't remember if I said this earlier, this was the first thing that I started stitching on when I picked up cross stitching again at the end of 2019. And this is how far I am. I'm not very far at all. I think I used this for a couple of challenges, whether it was Whip Go or full coverage, not full coverage, Magical Stitches, or maybe even when I was still doing No New Starts. I used it for something. And so I did get a little bit of progress this year, but not much. And I figured it out, and with full stitches and back stitches, there are about 4,000 stitches in these little ornaments. So I'm not quite sure how much progress I can make because it is pretty confetti heavy. But we'll see. I'm probably just going to spend a day, maybe 2 on that, maybe a day and a half. I don't really know. So yeah, there's that. And then the other piece I want to stitch on is God Shed His Grace from the Cross Stitch Studio. And this was meant to be one of my, not focus pieces, but one of my minor focus pieces this year. And I had a goal of something like 25,000 stitches, which would essentially be 500 stitches a week. I didn't come anywhere close to that. I don't know how many stitches I have on it, but it's a massive piece. It is 869 by 583. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest piece, the biggest whip that I have. Here's where I'm at. So obviously not 25,000 stitches. I think there's a bunch of partial pages along the bottom, and I might be almost done with the first partial page, but that's it. Yeah. So I'd really like to work a few days on this if possible. Like I said, I don't have any solid plans for which days I'm working on what, so we'll see. And then the other thing, the other piece that I mentioned before is this Joyo Noel, and I'm getting that from down here. And again, this was a free pattern on the Floss website, and there was a post in Virtual Stitchers where they did a conversion for it, and because it's written in Floss, which I don't have any. But anyway, so I got the conversion from them last year, and I started this last November. I only put a very few stitches in, and I'm stitching this on a 32 count Belfast opalescent. Oh, I obviously haven't searched that yet. So like I said, I only got a very few stitches in, and this is, 32 count Belfast opalescent, and it's undyed. It's just plain white. And the reason why I stopped where I stopped and I haven't worked on it all year long is because I really wasn't happy with that red. If you look at the picture, the colors look very deep, and those angels look very deep red. And when you compare it, I just wasn't happy. I don't know if you can see that, but I just wasn't happy with the way it looked. I loved the berries, the red berries and the green. I loved the gray. I loved everything else. But I just wasn't happy with that red. And so I put it away because I didn't know if I was just being overly critical or if I was just burnt out on starting a bunch of new things in November. But when I picked it back up about halfway through the year, because I thought about stitching on it in July for Christmas in July, I picked it back up halfway through the year. I still felt the same. I picked it back up today to start looking at it so I could talk about it, and I still felt the same. So here are the colors for it, and it's going to be a little bit hard to show based on the conversion done in Virtual Stitchers. And it's beautiful. It really is. It's a really beautiful palette. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, for me, the greens, I love the greens. There's two up here. So this is the dark green, and then second dark, third dark, and then the lightest. I love those. I love the golds. I love the grays. But this really threw me off. I think this is 606, and it feels more orange than red to me, and it really didn't feel like it stood out. So I used the Christmas red, the 666 for that angel, and then I used the 321 for the berries. And I think what I'm going to do instead, I spent a lot of time pouring over my reds before filming. I think I'm going to make Christmas red. I hate calling it 666. There's a inside joke at the studio, but I think I'm going to take the Christmas red and I'm going to trade it out for the lightest red. So basically I would unpick the angel. I'm going to make 321 my middle red. So I would no, I'm not going to restitch the angel. Hang on. I just went through this. Let me think. Okay. The 321 is going to stay where it's at because I liked it for the berries. Instead of the 606 being the light red, the 666 is going to be the light red. And there's some flowers down further in the pattern. Let's see. Right here. I think I'm going to make those the 666. And then I'm going to replace the dark tone. So instead of 321 being the dark tone, I'm going to make it 816. And so it's just slightly darker. And so the reds are going to be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this very well. So those are going to be my 3 reds. It's not working, is it? Like that. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so the angel is going to be stitched in the darker one now instead of the medium toned. Did I explain that well at all? Probably not, but I will show you next week when I have some progress on it to show. And then you can see what I mean, and I'll try to show it in a little better depth. But yeah, it took me, I played around with a lot of reds before I got there. Originally, I thought I would do 814, but that was actually darker than the 816, and I think that's where I want to land. So yeah, I think that's really all I have. I'm gonna go splice up my, not splice, I'm gonna put together my splices from where my alarm went off and add some before pictures and cut out some rambling that you really don't need to be subjected to. And then I'll probably get to stitching. I don't know. For a while I thought I was gonna keep stitching on Marvel tonight. But I think I might want to start the Joyeux Noël instead. I'm really kind of itching to stitch on that one. Or maybe the ornament. I don't know. Either way, there's going to be some Christmas stitching. Oh, one thing that I thought was really cool is that I was talking to my husband before filming, and I had my Marvel Heroes on my Lowry stand, and we were sitting on the bed watching TV, and I could see my Lowry stand from the bed. And you know, when you stitch, you see everything like this close, and so all you see are the details and the mistakes, and like, oh, that coverage on that 939 isn't that great, I can see the white peeking through, and oh, that stitch is crooked, and things like that. But when I saw it all the way from my bed, it really looked really cool. And so I just made the comment to my husband about that, because you know, that's where he always sees it from. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna have to show that to so-and-so when it's done. I was like, who's that? And he said, well, he's the artist who drew it. And I'm like, you know him? And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, well, kind of. He's Ryan, who's his boss. My boss knows him. He's done some work for us before, and I think I'm Facebook friends with him. So I'm gonna have to show it to him. And I'm like, wait, what? So now pressure, right? Anyway, so yeah, that's it. I hope that everybody, all of my American friends, had a great Thanksgiving. Otherwise, I hope you just had a great week, and I hope that you've had a great weekend and that you are looking forward to good things for December. And whatever you do, I hope that you lead with love. Bye.